The warning signal, the Velari deep space listening post, floated quietly in the cold darkness. It was a lonely place, hidden near the edge of Sector 9. Only a few engineers and officers worked there, watching the stars and listening for any unknown signals. Most days were quiet, too quiet, but today was different. Operator Rallick sipped his warm drink, eyes half closed. Suddenly, a red light blinked on his screen. He frowned and leaned forward. A strange signal was coming from the far edge of the sector. The frequency was old, very old, but the power level was off the charts. "Commander Trell," Rallick said, his voice shaky. "You need to see this." Commander Trell walked in, tall and calm as always. One glance at the data, and his calm face turned serious. "Run a spectral scan, now." They watched as the signal formed a strange pattern, like a voice trying to speak, but in a forgotten language. The energy levels were unstable, but the structure, it was not random. It was intelligent. It was moving. Suddenly, the station's long-range scanners picked up something massive. A single object was entering Sector 9 from deep space. It wasn't broadcasting an ID. It wasn't responding to hails. It was just moving slowly, directly toward inhabited space. "What is it?" One technician whispered. No one answered. Moments later, the database flashed with a warning. "Possible human origin detected." The room went silent. "Impossible," Trell whispered. "Humans haven't been seen in over 300 years. Rallick stared at the screen. "Then what is that?" The object was huge, almost the size of a small moon. Its design didn't match any known alien ship. No curves, no decoration. It was made of dark metal and sharp, brutal shapes. It looked like it was built only for war. Commander Trell tapped his comms. "Send emergency signal to Velari High Council. Priority 1. A warship of human origin has entered our sector." Within minutes, the entire galaxy was alerted. Panic spread quickly across nearby systems. The Velari weren't the only ones watching. The Krolin Empire, the Zin Enclave, even the neutral traders all received the same message. "Warning. Human warship detected in Sector -9. Many young species didn't know the stories, but the old ones remembered. They remembered the last great human war. Back then, humans had created machines and weapons that even the gods feared. But after a terrible betrayal by their allies, humans had disappeared. Some said they were all gone. Some believed they had destroyed themselves. But the warship moving through Sector 9 said otherwise. Trell looked at the screen again. "Why now? After so long, why come back now?" The warship continued its slow path. It passed 2 asteroid fields and didn't even pause. A patrol drone approached it, but the ship didn't react. Then, just as the drone came close, it shut down. All systems dead. Silent. No attack, no explosion, just silence. "Is it alive?" Rallick asked quietly. "Or is it something else?" No one had answers. Then, for the first time, the ship responded. It sent out a short message, just 3 words. In an old Earth language, "We are watching." Chills ran down Trell's spine. "This isn't just a ship," he said. "This is a warning." Far away, on the Velari homeworld, the High Council met in fear. They debated what to do. Should they attack? Should they try to communicate again? Or should they run? But deep down, they all knew the truth. If this warship was truly human, then it was already too late, because wherever humans went, change followed. Wars ended. Empires fell. And the galaxy remembered what fear really felt like. Asterisk, the fear spreads, the signal didn't stop. Every few hours, the same 3 words echoed across deep space. "We are watching." No one could understand why the warship wasn't attacking. No one could understand what it wanted. But fear doesn't need reason. Fear grows in silence. On the Krolin homeworld, Grand Strategist Euros stared at the hologram of the ship. He didn't blink. "It's real," he said quietly. "It matches the ancient blueprints. This is a V-class human dreadnought." His officers gasped. The V-class was only a myth, a story told to young cadets to scare them. A ship so advanced, it could destroy entire fleets by itself. It was believed the humans had destroyed the design out of fear of their own power. But this warship, it wasn't just real, it was here. Why would the humans send only one? An officer asked. Euros turned toward the question. They never needed more than one. In the Zin enclave, Empress Larias summoned her science council. She wanted answers. "What powers this ship?" she asked. They didn't have answers. The energy source was unknown. Not fusion, not antimatter. Something else, something older. The warship was running with no heat signatures, no visible engines. It moved like it was sliding through space. It's as if the laws of physics don't apply to it. One scientist whispered back in Sector 9. Commander Trell of the Velari station received a strange report. Civilian ships had stopped moving. Trade routes were empty. Planets were going dark, hiding from something that hadn't even attacked. Fear had spread faster than any weapon. Inside one of the alien council chambers, leaders from different species shouted over each other. "It must be a trick. No, it's a test. If we attack, we fail. Humans are extinct." "You fool, that ship isn't extinct." Some argued to send a welcome signal. Others wanted to send a fleet. Some wanted to abandon entire sectors and fall back to home. Systems. But one alien general stood slowly. He was old. His skin was gray and cracked, and his eyes had seen many wars. "We betrayed them," he said quietly. "All of us. We used them for our battles, then feared what they could become. We tried to erase them." No one spoke. "They did not forget," he said. "That ship is not just a machine. It is memory. And memory never forgives." At that same moment, the human warship stopped moving. It hovered near a dead planet. The planet had no life. No cities, just ruins. Old, broken structures. Velari. Probes scanned the area and gasped at the result. The ruins were human-made. The dreadnought had returned to a place the galaxy forgot, a place where humanity once lived. The warship opened a small hangar bay, and something launched from it. It wasn't a weapon. It was a beacon. A long, thin tower floated down to the planet and planted itself in the ground. It began to pulse with a soft blue glow. "What is that?" Rallick asked, watching from the command center. No one knew. But the warship had activated it for a reason. Suddenly, across 3 sectors, hidden satellites long believed to be junk turned on. They had human markings. They were still listening. The Velari, Krolin, Zin, and all other powers received a new message. This time longer. This time clear. "We have returned. Not to conquer. Not to forgive. But to remember. And to remind you. We never left." Panic became terror. Fleet commanders ordered ships into hiding. Some ordered attacks on empty space, hoping to stop what couldn't be stopped. And the warship? It didn't fire a single shot. It simply drifted above the ruins, watching. Just like it said. Asterisk. First contact, or so they thought. The human warship floated above the ruined planet like a ghost. No movement. No lights. Just silence. But the galaxy was loud with fear. Dozens of alien fleets were now tracking the warship from a distance. None dared to get too close. Not after what happened to the drone that went near it and vanished instantly, without even a sound. Still, some leaders needed answers. In the Council of 12, made up of the most powerful races, a decision was made. They would try to contact the ship directly. Not with words, but with a gift. A diplomatic ship was selected, It was clean, unarmed, and painted in silver and white. Its mission: to show peace. Inside, a brave Zin diplomat named Varish prepared for the mission. He was young, proud, and had studied ancient Earth languages. He believed in peace. "This is not a warship," Varish told his crew. "It is a message. We must speak before someone fires the first shot." The ship slowly approached the warship. Every camera in the sector watched. The human dreadnought did not move. Varesh's ship stopped 100 kilometers away, still a safe distance. "Sending message," the Zin pilot said. "In Terran standard. We come in peace. We wish to talk." Nothing. Then, a faint pulse from the warship. A signal. Varesh's eyes widened. "We're getting a response." The signal was not words. It was sound. Low, cold, mechanical. It sounded like breathing, but deeper, like a mountain exhaling. Then the ship spoke, not with a sentence, but with a vision. Inside Varesh's ship, the lights flickered. Everyone fell silent as a strange image appeared on their screens. It showed Earth, but not the Earth from history books. This Earth was burning, cities in ruins, skies blackened. In orbit, alien fleets hovered above, firing down. The same alien. Symbols seen in the council rooms now appeared on those invading ships. The message was clear. The galaxy had once destroyed Earth. The vision changed. It showed the dreadnought in dry dock, being built with dark metal. Machines welded weapons larger than buildings. Energy cores pulsed with glowing red light. And then humans standing silently, watching, waiting. As if they knew they would need this ship one day. Then everything went dark. Varesh's crew sat frozen. No one spoke. No one moved. The vision had ended. Then came the voice. Cold, ancient, mechanical, human. "You speak of peace. We remember your peace." And then the signal ended. Back. On the council worlds, the message spread like fire. "That wasn't communication," Empress Luraya said. "That was judgment." Commander Trell of the Velari agreed. "They don't want peace. They want us to feel what they felt. They want us to remember what we did." But not all agreed. Some believed the warship was testing them, offering a chance to explain, to confess. But others began to prepare for war. Back in Sector 9, the dreadnought moved again. Slowly, silently, it turned its nose away from the ruined planet and began moving toward the nearest inhabited world. Council panicked. Should we intercept it? No, it hasn't attacked. Wait, what is it looking for? As ships scrambled and debates raged, no one noticed the second signal. Far across the stars. Another human signal activated. It was weaker, older, but real. Another ship. Another presence. The humans had not returned alone. And this time, they might not be watching anymore. The forgotten war storm was building silent, invisible, and everywhere. The human dreadnought was still moving slowly across Sector 9, heading toward a populated world named Treniver. It was home to over 50 million lives, mostly peaceful colonists and traders. People watched the sky. They knew something ancient was coming. Inside the Velari High archives, old records were being unlocked, files that were once hidden from the public. Commander Trell sat beside a historian named Selna, an elderly female with silver skin and trembling hands. Her eyes looked tired, but when she saw the dreadnought on the screen, her voice grew cold. "I've seen that ship before," she said. Trell blinked. "You're old, but not that old." Selna didn't smile. "No, I didn't mean in life. I meant in records ones your council buried." She opened a file marked War Classified 3129A.C. It told a story almost no one remembered. Hundreds of years ago, humanity had joined a galactic alliance to stop a rising empire called the Varnok. Humans were brave, fast to learn, and more. Creative than any species. They weren't the strongest. They weren't the most advanced. But they were impossible to predict. In less than 5 years, humans had turned the tide of the war. But fear is a dangerous thing. The other species grew nervous. What if the humans didn't stop? What if they turned their power on the galaxy? So, the betrayal began. During a peace celebration, human ships were invited to a grand council. And then, the fleets opened fire. Earth's colonies were bombed. Cities were wiped out. Millions died, but Earth itself was never confirmed destroyed. Some said it fell. Others believed the humans destroyed their own planet to hide their secrets. And then, silence. No human signal. No survivors. Just rumors. The war was buried, renamed, rewritten. The humans were called unstable, dangerous, best forgotten. Trell stared at the report. And this ship, the V-class, it was the last ship ever built by humans, Selma said. A ship made not just for war, but for memory. To carry their anger, their pain, their truth. Outside, the dreadnought continued to drift toward Treniver. On the planet, people packed their homes and boarded ships. They didn't wait for orders. Fear was enough. Above the atmosphere, defense satellites locked onto the dreadnought, but they didn't fire. Because the ship wasn't aiming weapons. It was broadcasting a new signal. This time, to every world in the galaxy. It was a simple message. We offered alliance. You offered betrayal. You erased history. We became it. We are not ghosts. We are not gods. We are the consequence. Back on the Zin Enclave, Empress Lariah watched the message in silence. She whispered to her advisors, "They're not here for revenge. They're here to be remembered." In secret, another message was being decoded by the Krolan military. A long one, encrypted in ancient Terran script. When cracked, it revealed something far worse. The dreadnought wasn't alone. Dozens, maybe hundreds of warships had been hidden. In deep space, in long-dead systems, buried inside moons. Sleeping. And now, they were waking up. Each one carried a piece of the past, a name, a memory, a city that was burned. They were not just ships. They were the history the galaxy tried to erase. Commander Trell turned to Solna. "What do we do?" he asked. She looked up at him. "We listen." Panic turns into fire. The galaxy had hoped for peace. But peace cannot exist when old lies still live. The human dreadnought now floated in orbit above Treniver, unmoving. It hadn't fired a single shot, but its very presence caused panic across the stars. Trade routes had collapsed. Civilian planets had declared emergency law. Military ships stood ready, hands trembling over red buttons. And then it happened. One alien fleet, small, proud, and foolish, struck first. The Drekir Combine, a warrior species known for speed and aggression, could not wait any longer. There, General Kardren believed that fear was weakness, that hesitation was death. "Fire everything we have," he ordered. "Let the galaxy see we are not afraid of ghosts." A wave of 50 ships surged toward the dreadnought. Missiles, plasma beams, and graviton torpedoes were launched within seconds. All eyes across the galaxy watched. The human dreadnought didn't move. The attack struck. Flashes of fire and thunder lit up the dark. And then, nothing. The warship still floated, untouched. No smoke. No damage. Not even a scratch. The director ships prepared a second volley, but before they could launch, it responded. There was no flash, no explosion. The human dreadnought simply pulsed with a blue light. And suddenly, the entire Drekir fleet stopped moving. Their engines froze. Their weapons shut down. Even their lights went dark. Across every Drekir ship, the same message appeared. On every screen, every wall, every helmet visor. You attacked. Now you will understand. And then came the sound. A deep, slow hum like a heartbeat. On each Drekker ship, the temperature dropped. Metal groaned. AI systems began to shut down Dot, and then the crew began to scream, not from pain, but from visions. Saw Earth burning. They saw children crushed under rubble. They saw betrayal, not through their own eyes, but through human eyes. The dreadnought wasn't using weapons. It was using memory, Dot, and it was showing them everything, Dot, in just 2 minutes. The entire Drekker fleet went dark, Dot. No deaths. No fire, but every single soldier. On those ships was left unconscious minds shattered, brains overwhelmed with pain they never lived through, but now couldn't forget. General Cardren's last recorded words before blackout were whispered, shaking. It's not a ship. It's a judgment. Across the galaxy, no one spoke for hours. The message was loud and clear. This was not war, Dot. This was punishment. Back on Treniver, the people watched the sky, but no attack came. Instead, the dreadnought deployed something else. A small drone. It landed on the surface and opened a small cube. The cube projected an image. A human woman in uniform. She looked calm, tired, wounded. She spoke only once. You erased us. You built your peace on our silence, but silence ends. Let the galaxy. Remember, humanity is not gone. We were waiting. And now we are awake. The cube powered down Dot, and the dreadnought left orbit. Dot. No. Ships followed Dot. No one dared. But the galaxy had already changed, because everyone knew now. This was only the beginning. Dot. Asterisk. The human legacy. The dreadnought moved through space, slowly disappearing into the shadows. Between stars. Dot. It had not destroyed a planet. Dot. It had not claimed a single world. But it had done something greater. Dot. Had reminded the galaxy that humans were never truly gone. On the planet Treniver, the small cube left by the drone continued to glow. Though silent now, it became an object of worship, study, and fear. Scientists scanned it. Priests bowed to it. Children whispered stories about the woman inside Dot. In the following days, something even stranger happened. Dot. Old satellites across distant systems suddenly blinked online. Hidden stations that had not broadcast in centuries sent out faint signals. Ancient human code. On moons once thought lifeless, deep bunkers powered up for the first time in 300 years. Robotic workers began assembling unknown structures. Across 5 sectors, ships cloaked in black metal rose from deep gravity wells. Each one carried a single message. Legacy Protocol. Phase 1 activated. The Velari High Council panicked. The Zin Enclave went silent. The Krolan Empire locked its borders, but no one dared attack, because they knew now the humans had planned this. They had vanished, not in defeat, but in silence. In preparation, humanity had hidden pieces of itself across the stars. Sleeping weapons. Hidden knowledge. Ghost fleets. And now, one by one, they were waking up. Back at the edge of Sector 9, Commander Trell stood beside Historian Selna, watching a live feed. Another ship had appeared smaller than the dreadnought, but marked with the same dark metal and glowing blue engines. It didn't speak. It just hovered. As if listening, Selna whispered, "They're not coming to fight. They're coming to finish the story." Trell nodded slowly. And the galaxy is part of that story now. In the Krolan capital, General Yoros met with his council. He held an old human artifact in his hands, a medal from the war. It had only one word engraved on it: resilience. He placed it on the table. No one feared the humans because they were strong, he said. They feared them because they never stopped. Not in war, not in death, not even in memory. Across the stars, change had begun. Old enemies began speaking again. Orders softened. Treaties were reconsidered. The fear of human return had done what centuries of war could not. It made the galaxy think, not just about survival, but about guilt. And legacy. In the far dark, the dreadnought reached its final destination, a hidden system with no name. There, deep inside an asteroid belt, lay a vast ring structure. The dreadnought approached and stopped. The ring lit up. A signal pulsed outward, not a warning, not a threat, but a summon. Back across the galaxy, all the hidden human relics responded. Ships changed course. Drones adjusted their maps. AI cores booted up messages written long ago. And far beyond even known space. Something stirred. The final human voice was heard through every system. We were forgotten. We forgave no one. We return not as conquerors, but as the legacy you tried to bury. Prepare yourselves. The age of silence is over. The stars grew quiet again, but it was not the silence of peace, it was the silence before the return, the silence of the human legacy. Asterisk.